Hey guys, Chris from Battleborn here. Want to thank you for tuning in to episode number 2, hosted at Old Glory Barbershop. This week's episode featured fellow Battleborn board member Anthony Duran. Tune in, let us know how you like it. Appreciate any feedback, and thanks for your support. Welcome to the second episode of Battleborn YouTube channel. I'm here today with my good friend Brandon and fellow Marine, owner of Old Glory Barbershop here in Percy, along with my good friend, fellow veteran, and fellow board member Anthony Duran. So we're glad to be here today. We want to give a quick shout out to Bison Creative for helping us film this channel and giving us good direction on where to go from here. Our mission and goal in doing this is to provide a showcase for
vets helping vets, civilians helping vets, vets helping civilians,
understand vets,
understand vets, and full frontal male nudity.
Full frontal male nudity.
Yes.
If we have time.
Yeah. If the clock allows it.
If time allows.
Yes.
So
yeah.
Yes, we appreciate you guys tuning in. We look forward to doing more of these. Let's get right to our guest. I'm highly honored and privileged to introduce this guy next to me. He's been a friend of mine for a little over a decade. Been huge in the organization's role and where we played back into giving to the community and continuing to showcase his service to the country by what he does here on the home front. So with that, I'd like to introduce Mr. Anthony Duran.
Thank you, Chris.
Good to meet you, bud.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Good to meet you.
So you guys have known each other how long now?
A little over 10 years.
10 years?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. He knew my oldest brother way before I knew Chris. So he's had relationships with my brother, dating back to your high school years, right?
Mm-hmm.
And myself, probably about 11, 12 years ago when I was introduced to Chris, and ever since, here we are.
Just hit it off.
Yeah.
He's a likable guy.
He's all right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He doesn't let you talk enough to not like him.
Yeah, it's true.
They're just,
Yeah.
But you're cute, so it's all right.
He's got a good beard,
Yeah.
too.
He's got it right.
You guys got
You're getting all this shit?
Yeah.
So what is it that, so you guys, he knows your whole story. I imagine, I don't know, I've been told, very good things about you. I was like, we got to talk to this guy, so.
We got to talk about the sword.
Oh, yeah.
We got to bring up the sword. But as Anthony said, real quick, I got the pleasure of meeting Joey first, introduced me to Anthony, and we'll get into that a little bit as we go on. But actually, Joey was one of the first vets that I met coming back from Iraq. Like when Joey came back from Iraq, he was one of the first guys that I actually had seen, returning home and trying to reacclimate. And that's how Anthony and I got introduced as well. So.
Yeah, when we were first introduced, Chris, it probably wasn't on the best terms, different parts of our lives. And that's part of the journey, right? And where we're at today. And this is why I think we do have that connection, because we knew what it was like, kind of what we had to do and where we're at now. And that's part of that recovery journey. And me, I'm comfortable speaking about myself and my own recovery and what it's like because of the stigma around that. And it's not talked about, or it's minimized, or people don't know how to talk about it. I'm pretty comfortable about it because I believe that talking about it destigmatized it. You know what I mean? And that's just my journey, for me. So I'm comfortable talking about that. So I'm open to any questions you guys.
Well, Brandon's aware. Battleborn's intent is to connect veterans to resources for overall well-being. One of those things being recovery being all-inclusive to not just a specific substance. You're talking, it's
Not
such a
just drugs
broad,
and alcohol.
no, it's such a broad word, man. Like sometimes we say, we help veterans with recovery, and they're like, you help alcoholic veterans? No. Yeah. There's recovery from mental illness, emotional, trauma, PTSD, you name it. There's like a whole gauntlet of things that vets are working against to reacclimate. We talked about this on the last episode. Being a service member and coming home and finding that purpose and reconnecting to the meaning. Once you leave that, like, what do? You're a young person. If you just did one enlistment, you come home now having to reacclimate. There's a lot of difficulty. I don't think people really grasp.
Yeah.
That if you don't, like, this is one of those things we don't try to separate ourselves, but if you don't know, you don't know. Mm-hmm. It's just like a person that has an issue with an alcohol, just for example, and they're talking to someone else that they work with, and they're like, well, why can't you just stop drinking alcohol? It's not,
It's not like that.
Yeah, so.
Or why do you have to be such a robot? That's the thing. You guys probably got that all the time, too. I know because I'm dealing with something in my life right now where it's like, okay, it happened. Bury it down, push forward. Because what does it do to just hash it all out? And So for me, it's like, boom, keep moving, it's done. And usually the civilian or your significant other and everybody's like, well, why don't we talk about it? Let's talk about it, let's do this, let's do that. And you're like, no, let's bury it and just keep moving forward because it's in the past now.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
I think one quick touch on that is just we're so grained to, hey, this just happened. It's sad, it's tragic. You got 10 minutes. Get your gear together. We're going back out.
Yeah.
That's it. There's no like, I need to process this. I got into a car accident on the way to work. Let me take the day off to try to get my life back. No, you have 10 minutes. Yeah. Get your shit together. We're going,
Because the taxman don't care. Mm-hmm. Taxman is be like, hey, I understand you had a loss in your family. Something happened in your personal life. You took off a couple of days, but, now you can't pay your bills. I don't care. Mm-hmm. I don't care that it happened. Right. Keep moving forward.
Yeah.
So, people who aren't civil or veterans and stuff like that, they look at that like it's like you need help. You need somebody to talk to. Mm-hmm. But to us, it's like to me like that's normal. Mm-hmm. Like, what do you mean? Why keep talking about what's back there? Let's keep going forward. But.
So I'm glad you brought up the whole being comfortable and what you and I do and what our intent is being founding members and board members of this organization. And I think you and I have the same goal and mindset is to help those who were once like us and now get them to where we are. And Brandon's on board with that's what this whole premise of the shop is. The shop is not just a barbershop where you come and get a haircut, which by the way I get regularly here. Mm-hmm. The premise is this can be a place for vets to drop in, get connected with other veterans and maybe just talk about what's going on with them. Someone who may not walk into the VA, So let's talk a little bit about on a deeper level because I know it and I want these guys to know like what it is that you do and why it is that you do it, and we can tie that into the ruck and all the stuff that we've done together so far. But what if you want to get more in depth? What got you into where you're at now with what you do for a career and all that stuff, like, and maybe help these guys understand a little more why it's so personal to you.
Yeah, I think I can do that. I'll expose myself a little bit here.
Well, that's at the end, the full frontal male nudity.
Yeah, well, that's for you.
We expose at the end.
That's fine.
We got to keep the viewers, man. We got to keep the viewers happy.
Yeah, sure.
Right? Brandon manscaped it. Brandon has manscaped us.
But Brandon, what you were talking about before, too, it's like there's a term, too, and you might appreciate this since you two are the Marines of the bunch here. It's like it's gunny sacking, right? So it's like just piling all up, put it in our rucksacks and just keep going because that's what we had to do. That's what we're desensitized to that way of life because you can't carry emotions when shit hits the fan, and it's like you got to ruck up and you got to keep going because mission oriented, goal oriented, and you have to get it done, mission first, and we carry that over into our lives, and it affects not only us, but it affects the people around us. It affects our families, our loved ones, people closest to us. I feel like I've gotten better through my recovery journey, but my partner may not feel that way, But for me, I feel like that's, I communicate more about how I'm feeling or what I'm dealing with rather than before. It's like, shut down. You didn't get anything from me. Mm-hmm. I gave you what you needed to hear. Yeah. I'm not going to talk about my feelings. I know how I feel. Why should I tell you how I feel? Mm-hmm. Right? The sign of weakness, all the BS that we're taught for a specific purpose, right?
Yeah.
Like we train for a specific purpose, and that's why we have to act the way we act to complete the mission, whatever it may be. And we come home, we carry it with us. And I carried it with me. I mean, that was pretty much instilled with me before I was in the military, but even harder instilled into it like while in the military. You never went to sick call. It didn't, you just don't do it. Not especially not in my job, like in the infantry, you never want the sick call. That was looked as upon as weakness, and it's like, or sandbagging or an S bag. I don't know what we're allowed to say here, like
Well,
I'm trying to keep it PG so we can,
What's the wingspan of a shipbird? That kind of stuff, right?
Yeah. So it's like, through my process, so how I coped was substance, right? How I was able to cope with all of my stuff, carrying forward before the military and during the military and then after was like substance, right? Alcohol, and then I wound up getting injured overseas, and then they started prescribing medication, and it just was like alcohol and medication. It was just like, then it was just medication, and then like the harder stuff, down the line, the never will I ever came about. So in and out of treatment facilities, PTSD unit at the VA, detox. I was through the gambit of a lot of different like treatment facilities, right? Went to the PTSD unit. PTSD is my problem because I was diagnosed with PTSD, and nobody wants a label or the disability. And I know, we're specifically talking about that, but you think of disability, it's like, an impairment of the body or mind, and like nobody wants that label, right? And that's, again, a sign of weakness, right? In like our minds. So we'll deal with it another way. We want to figure it out, like how to deal with it in another way. And so through my journey, toward the end of my my treatment tours, as I call them, right? My brother, who was a combat vet, Iraqi combat vet, Joey, who you were speaking of earlier, overdosed and died in a hotel room, and on February 10th, 2013. And I wound up getting help myself. I was going down the same path. I overdosed a couple times, in the hospital a couple times. I was going down that same path. And if it wasn't for the people around me, like family members, loved ones, friends of family, I wouldn't have went to the treatment center that I wound up getting sober at, and finding a new way of life, and learning more about like my feelings and getting in touch with myself, all this stuff. I was like, nope.
Yeah.
Path. Yeah. So, and it took months. It was a long-term treatment, right? So I was in there for 10 and a half months, and probably like month 3, I started to like drop the guard, drop the persona, drop the pose of like, I'm not talking about my feelings, like, you don't know what I've done and where I've been and who I am and blah, 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 blah. I'm like, that's where it was. So, Joey died. I was still, explaining how I coped with it, and that's how I coped with it. There was no feelings involved for me. It was just very like, I was desensitized completely. Substances cured that real quick of anything ever coming up for me. And when I went away, I got the help that I needed, and started to really understand like who I was, what I was dealing with. And when I got out of this place, I went to a transitional living, right? With vets, right? We get out of this way of life for so long, however long, whether it's, 4 years, 10 years, 20 years, it doesn't matter. You lived a certain way with a bunch of people doing the same thing for a long time, and then you come out and it's a lot different, right? Our mindset is different. How we operate is different. How I'm maneuvering through life is different. And so for me, that transitional place of like learning how to be sober, like I was never had to be sober before. How do you do that? How do you hang out? How do you get comfortable? Yeah.
You just go sit?
Like
Smoke a cigar?
Smoke a cigar?
This is boring. I
This
don't
water
do
is
this
delicious.
shit. Yeah, right. So it's like, I don't want to get sober. How am I going to go to a professional sporting event? How am I going to go to a concert?
Yeah.
I can't go to a wedding again? Like, this is crazy,
All the misconceptions.
Yeah, right.
But I think, you said something, and this I think is the biggest stumbling block. Like life is the only thing that's constant in life is change. The only I think benefit that we learned in the military was, and this is where I think guys get hung up, is for me I think this is supposed to be this way and it needs to be this way, and anything that is diverted from this way is like, oh shit, how do I attack this? And it's just one of the blessings we got was adapt, improvise, overcome. If I can tap back into that mentality, I can constantly, you're talking about adjustments. All the adjustments you had to keep making and keep going against that mindset that you had. I think that is very important to point out, and I'm appreciative that you shared that part,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so through that, during the transitional living for about 6 months, I started to, I was working like construction, things like that. And a buddy reached out to me, guy I grew up with. He's like, hey man, and he saw a little bit of the work I was doing, like, I don't want to necessarily say like I was putting myself out there, like especially in like the recovery way, but like just by my interactions and doing a lot of service work, like in that field, right? Just as like that's part of being in recovery for me is like service is huge, right? So he said, hey, you'll be perfect at this job. I think you should do it. I'm like, what is it? And like, yeah, okay. It was a peer support program for veterans, right? A national, actually global peer support line at Rutgers University. So
That's for Warriors.
Yeah, that's for Warriors.
That's for Warriors.
Yep.
That's where Anthony started.
Yep. So I went there, and first of all, working around like other vets was like, it's just like we all get that dark humor. We bust each other chops all the time, but like when it was business, like we got down to it. It was just like being back in the military, where if we weren't training, if we weren't like doing anything serious, it's like the rest was like messing off, and like making fun of each other, doing stupid crap that we always used to do, and getting into trouble, whatever that looked like, right? But when it was time to handle the business, it's like I can count on these guys, and that's like I felt that. So I was fortunate enough to get a job where I was surrounded by vets who I trusted, right? And like if we needed something done, like if we had a crisis call, right, a suicide call, and I'd say I was on the call, we'd have this guy on the phone with their local, because again it was national or global. So let's say down in Virginia, like I got a guy over here on the local Virginia on the phone with Virginia Police Department trying to do a wellness check. This person calling this person, you know what I mean? So it's like it just happened. There was like a fluid transaction with what we were doing, and so through that, I really benefited like for myself, and I really had a passion for being in that position. So I started to go to school for social work, right? So so I went and got my associates at Warren County, and then I went to got my undergrad in social work, and then I just went right into my master's and got my.
You understand why I'm smiling, right?
I don't. So you can tell me.
I'm smiling because I've got to witness this whole entire journey, and I can't. This video would never properly articulate how proud I am of the guy sitting next to me. And honestly, like since we're getting a little vulnerable, and I want them to know, and he knows how many times this guy's been on the phone with me and has saved me from doing absolute destructive stuff, and even has helped me out of when I've been in absolute destructive chaos. Like at many points, most other people would have said, like, dude, I can't keep helping you. Like, you're a fucking hot mess. Get your shit together. You know what I mean? But he knows how important he is to me. And I would like you guys to know how important he is to me personally. Him, not just him, but his whole entire family. And we're going to get into that in a minute. But watching you go from, I remember when you got the peer support, and then the social work, the bachelor's, and then the master's was recent, and then the hometown hero at the Phantoms game, and just the progression of where there's something to be said about watching somebody, be at a dark spot and transition from step by step to where now, I'm not going to tell it, but what he does for a living now is you're going to be like, oh my God, it's the hope shot. Yeah. It's the hope shot. It's the hope shot that what you've done, we can turn around and help other guys get that sense of direction. So just watching you do that whole entire progress is, it would never portray through a video. We'd need about 3 more hours.
Yeah.
So
It wasn't easy. It
Yeah.
was not easy for me to get back into to that rhythm, right? But once I put my mindset to that, like, this is my goal that I want to accomplish. This is where I want to go with it, and this is what I have to do. It was laid out, and thankfully I had my GI Bill, right, and I was able to capitalize on that, and yeah, so I was fortunate, to have that, right, and so I knew if I stopped or took a semester off or I don't know if I would have went back, so all the way from I even forget the year. 2015, 14, whatever it was, I started with the associates, right? So I think it was 15, and then 2020 is when I got my master's from Rutgers University.
You got a master's?
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah, thank you.
Yep.
In social work, and this is something where before all this happened, right?
Yeah.
Before I got sober, I've had attempted suicides that I, with overdosing on purpose. I had a noose around my neck at a certain point, but I didn't go through with that, thank God. But there was moments of deep, dark moments where I was like, what's the fucking point anymore? I'm done. I don't want to live like this. I can't. This is not the way I want to live. I can't stop.
Yeah.
What am I going to do? It was like in that limbo. So, Chris, what you were bringing up is like why I still, no matter what, right? Because there's never any judgment on this end, is that I shouldn't say nobody, but people in my life didn't give up on me. That's why I'm sitting in this chair today. So it's just and that's what we do, right? We bring that forward with our lives I'm here because of people bringing it to me. And if I'm not bringing it forward, then that's not the purpose for me, right? So, and that's why I continue to have what I have and continue to gain these promises, as we say, right? In my life is because we don't shoot our wounded. Right? That's why. And that was told to me. We don't shoot our wounded. And that's all it is. And it's just we continue to show up for each other no matter what. And that helps me. And before this interview, we were talking about it earlier. It's like that purpose, right? Like finding a purpose. It doesn't matter if my purpose today is just to hold a door for somebody. I have a purpose today, just to help somebody, be of service, of finding some form of purpose can really go a long way, no matter how small it is, because of the way I was living was not a proud moment for me, not things I was proud of, things that I normally would do. It's going against the grain of everything I believe in, the things I was doing, and I had to come back from that. And
is that how you want to be remembered?
Yeah.
Exactly.
And it's like, I thought I was a good human being, but I wasn't doing good human being stuff,
Yeah.
And it's like, well, how do I come back from it? People think they can never come back from it. And it's like, you just show up differently. You have to make a decision. You have to show up differently. And, never forget the past, but we can't dwell on it,
I don't know, and I know not that we're sitting here watching time, but for time's sake, if we could actually, talk about all the stuff, we'd have to do episode number 2. But just for example, I think what he forgot to mention, I'm going to tell a little of your story now. But all while doing that, you were in service of getting the education, doing the peer support, helping other veterans, but then on the side, besides the school, so not only you got the master's, you got married. You're getting married. You're getting married. You're getting married because I gave you my ring guy. Remember?
Yeah.
Shout out,
Red.
Shout out to Red.
Red Jewelers.
Shout out to our buddy Red.
Red's the man.
Great guy. Then you had your first child 19 months ago, little Emerson, right? She's got a little Battleborn onesie. It's really cool, just saying. But where I was getting in that squirrel, but, talk a little bit about the sideshow of doing the rucks, organizing the rucks, and raising all the money for an organization that just kept you, also fulfilling that purpose besides the education, besides the wanting to get back and helping veterans. He was creating community organizations, doing rucks, and then we can segue that into what we did was
while you were in school, you're doing all this stuff.
Yeah. So
Yeah, so
Super successful rucks
Yeah.
too. Not just like 20 people showed up. Like he raised $67,000 over.
yeah, but you know what? It was the people. You know, it was like goes back to like that movie Field of Dreams, right? If you build it, they will come. And it's like that's just our first ruck. We had 12 people, right? And like one of the last ones, we had like almost 300 people at one of these rucks. So coming from 12 people, where it could be very like, you know, off-putting, you're like, why am I? I'm not gonna go through all this just
time
for
and
this.
money and effort. Yeah.
So we kept showing up. Like I said, you continue to have to show up. You have to continue to push forward and learn from each event. We mess up, right? I made mistakes. So how can we do this differently? Our marketing. How can we get this person involved? Are we going to enough business? It's just like learning after every single ruck. So the organization that I was doing these rucks for was called Carry the Fall, which it represents like everybody wears a backpack. I told people, I don't care if you put 2 granola bars and water in there.
Yeah.
It's like, but the significance of like, and then some people will come with like weighted rucks and all kinds of stuff. I was putting like bocce balls and all kinds of stupid crap back there. I never did it again after that. I'm not built like that anymore.
Terrible.
Yeah, so I'm just like, you know, that old mentality got the better of me. But anyway, yeah, so it was raising awareness for veteran suicide and also for a retreat in Kentucky. And so we were successful at doing that. A guy who brought it to me, his name was Greg Troxel. Easton Greg, not Peaburg Greg. So we have to two Greg Troxels.
For clarification, because there is 2 Troxels across the river.
Yeah, so this is the Easton Greg Troxel, great friend of mine, very passionate and is a civilian doing this. Creating these veteran walks as a civilian.
Community. Civilians helping veterans and using all of that collaboration to get the job done. There's no like only vets can help vets. You know?
Well, he was a civilian where he saw the number of 22 a day when it was that whole the whole 22 thing. He was like, he was disgusted. He's like, I have to do something. I didn't serve, but I have to do something and be of service to these guys and women who are coming back and committing suicide. How do I get involved? And he went to a New York one, came back here and started it. We got involved. We hit the ground running, and he had a lot of success, right? And I was a part of that with him. And so when I was talking to you, when you started Battleborn, I came along, you know, and you had already found it. You already had momentum to it. And I wanted to do these rucks again. And because of it, but have it localized. Like we were raising money here in Lehigh Valley for Kentucky, which, you know, if you guys wanted to go to Kentucky, even with your family, you had the obligation, you can go. Right, but it's in Kentucky, right? So it's like here we are, and like all these veterans and family members, the significance, right? So we had a woman come to our walk who her husband just committed suicide like 2 months prior, right? He was a vet, and she is still networked with those people she walked with. It was like therapy for her to come amongst people who are not like, I don't know what to say to this person, you know, and like she was just traumatized by this, and it's like walking therapy, you know, and like you're walking, you're talking, you're getting involved, and that's what it's about. It's like involving, it's networking, it's being a part of, rather than like, you know, sitting home and kind of reflecting on what happened, what's going on, right? So we started these walks. You know, the idea was to get, you know, the Joey Duran Memorial Ruck and start a scholarship with raising money to help people, veterans and their families in the area to some form of substance, you know, geared toward the substance use arena, right?
Right.
Or addiction, I should say, because substance use is very narrow. Right, so some form of the addiction realm, because addiction can mean a lot of things for a lot of different people.
Right, and I wanted to flash back before we talk about the ruck quick, because I brought a little memoir, right? I wanted to just touch about so knowing the family, knowing the Durans, the whole family, absolutely wonderful people. Big Tone, right? We're gonna talk about Big Tone for a little bit. Police officer.
Just saw him on the way here.
Yeah.
He was at the bridge.
Big Tone. So Big Tone's dad. You got Anthony, Matt, Steven, and Joey. JoJo being the oldest. So just for I said, never could talk about this video enough to understand the dynamics, but like JoJo Dancer was a special personality. He had a laugh.
His name was JoJo Dancer.
JoJo
Enough
Dancer.
said.
Yeah.
Right?
JoJo Dancer. Like, he could do the most outrageous, stupid thing, the most insane thing, and then you could be like super mad at him, but he would laugh.
Yeah.
And his laugh, you
Contagious.
just couldn't be mad at him no more after he
Yeah.
laughed. Like, it was just like, okay, all is forgiven. Whatever. But, you and Matt being like behind Joey and watching him go through what he went through and sparking that, how much of an impact did that, I mean, I think you touched on it a little earlier, but watching JoJo come home from the VA and a few days later in the hotel room, thinking that, okay, I went to the VA, all is good now. And, losing his life to this. How much did that impact carry over into Carrying the Fallen and, wanting to reestablish the Ruck again?
Yeah, so with that, like when he got it, he was at the PTSD unit. No, I'm sorry. It was,
Coatesville?
no, in Lyons,
They're from
VA,
New Jersey.
New Jersey.
Okay.
So he went to, he was already at the PTSD unit. So he was at the rehab, right, down in East Orange. It's like a 28-day, 31
Building
day.
18.
Yeah, 18.
Yeah.
Because it's Building 18 that's separate from the main hospital.
Mm-hmm.
And I was actually there in 2009 myself in that same Building 18. So he came home from there. He was on a waiting list for the transitional, kind of like a halfway
transitional
type,
living.
transitional living. And so my parents thought they were, doing right. They didn't want him to come back to home. They wanted him to
They put him in a hotel.
Yeah, put him in a hotel so he can wait this out. And that was the time he died. It was in between, waiting to go into a transitional living around other sober people, around people with structure and at least accountability.
Yeah.
Well, that made me really angry, especially after I got my help, and I understood the impact that has on people. And so it's a lot of it was fueled by, I guess, a resentment toward the VA and how they operate and the lack of resources and availability. It's just availability. And so I think that was a lot of fuel for it, but and it was well, what's the solution? And it's being part of a solution is going out there and doing something. So that was a lot of fuel for that because of his process out of a rehab and then just kind of here you go.
Yeah. Here's a
And it's
hotel room with your thoughts alone.
Yeah.
That's that's the one thing that boggles my mind is that in any circumstance in life, the whole I need space, I need to be by myself, if anybody's going through anything like that, being alone isn't the answer.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because then you just get in your mind and you just start thinking, and then if you're already in a dark place, it only gets darker.
Yeah.
And so when you're left alone with your thoughts, like you said, your brother came out and he was, everybody thought, oh, he's good. He just came out of this thing. Now he's just waiting a little bit. He's in a holding pattern. No bueno. Don't leave him alone, man. You're gonna be sleeping on the couch.
Yeah,
You know
right.
what I mean?
And there's no accountability. It's they're thinking he's away from things, but it's listen, we can find whatever we want, whenever we want.
You want to find trouble, you'll find trouble.
Exactly.
So I remember the day. I'm sitting in my car. Anthony calls me up. He's like, "Hey, I've been stagnant. Of course, I'm still doing my work in the community. I'm helping vets, social working, counselor at a very prominent facility, right? I'm doing all that, but I feel like I want to pick the Rucks back up.
Yeah.
I want to give that back to the community." And at the time, the Joey Duran Memorial Scholarship Fund and the Ruck wasn't actually what we were talking about, right? It was just I want to do a Ruck for the community. And then I was like, let's do something local. And literally Battleborn had just gotten our nonprofit 501c license a week prior. I'm like, dude, do you realize we got the nonprofit? And he's like, what? So the conversation started. And as we continued to talk, right, it evolved, for Tony and Sandy, Anthony's parents, let's not make this just about all the veterans. Let's make this directly about someone who was affected in our local community, and the idea of the bench came up. So we can touch on that briefly before I show. I want to cut it and like film us because we've never cut one episode, right? I want to cut this episode right now and film another 45 minutes because we don't have enough time and we don't want to lose you guys' interest. But there's so much that goes into this. It's a disservice to be like, yeah, we did a ruck, yeah, we did a scholarship fund. No, like the bench. And I wouldn't want to pull my phone out and show the pictures of your whole entire family when we presented this bench at the park.
Montage.
The park. Yeah, but like the park. We talk about the park and how we did the, whatever. But so the idea very quickly was evolved into, hey, let's not just make this walk. Let's make this about something. And for now, forever, there is a memorial bench to the Duran family with Joseph's name on it in a veteran park. The bench was about $1,000. All the sponsors made it happen. We got the bench. Anthony's uncle built the bench, put it in, concreted it in.
No, he didn't build it.
Well,
It came from a company that
Right.
there was already benches there that you can get a plate for the actual bench,
Yeah,
beautiful
yeah.
black benches, and so that was the idea of like placing a bench in honor of or memory of my brother. With his name and
That's awesome.
unit and service, and then like his time, right? And like that's permanent because people can rent out certain bench things, so it's permanent. And the person that we were talking to about the park was like, absolutely, this is but we had to like raise money for it,
A lot of money.
And
by the way, if you want to see the pictures of the bench, I just realized this. I'm not good at this technology stuff. Go on wearebattleborn.com. As the website scrolls, you will see pictures of the ruck. You will see Anthony and I holding an American flag and a few other, the POW flag with our rucksacks on. You'll see the picture of Anthony's family on the bench. You'll see pictures of the event from that day. So there, go to wearebattleborn.com, scroll the website, look under events, you'll see the ruck. So go ahead, I'm sorry, the bench. For the parent, it's at the Veterans Park.
Yeah, Veterans Park
Veterans
in
Park.
Lopakon Township, Phillipsburg, but Lopakon Township in New Jersey. It's actually right down the street from my house, which is nice. So I've been able to take my daughter there and go see Uncle JoJo and have her climb on the bench. It's just like
Instead of a plot, it's a good place.
Yeah, and so we have a
Yeah.
niche for him, like by my parents' house, like in the cemetery by the church. But it's just something else, you know what I mean, that we can go to and be proud of. 'Cause,
More positive.
Yeah, Mr. Nixon, who's in charge of that,
Great guy.
phenomenal person who's in charge of that park. There's a lot of different bricks people can buy, and they put memorials or honor of. Big pavers or small pavers. He has live music for free that anybody can go on Wednesday nights. Like you can just go set up a chair,
a great
order
park.
pizza.
Yeah.
It's like beautiful flag. It's just like a pavilion there. It's a very beautiful like just park, right?
Yeah.
And like you want to take family there on a Wednesday. Live music in the summers coming up every Wednesday is like live music. You go sit and chill. You know.
Yep.
You can go sit on the park or the benches that are there, or bring your own chair. But it's just the environment. The sun sets how he has it. Like some of the pictures, I don't know if you have them there. The sun sets just like right above like all the flags and stuff. So you get a nice sunset. It's just like it's crisp.
Yeah.
You know.
Whoever designed it did it right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think just the most important thing that I'm reflecting over here is just the bench is in Joey's hometown.
Yeah.
It's Joey's hometown, and your whole family lives there, but it's just
Tell you what, man, our town is phenomenal. And like the support,
huge. Phillipsburg and Warren
not
County.
just for like me and my family, right? Because they all came out and support and like love doing that, but just for veterans in general, I think Phillipsburg is a really cool town to be a part of as far as like the support that veterans, law enforcement, people get out in the community, first responders, period. It's really cool just to see like people come out to support because it's not a political thing, right? It's more about people are struggling, people need help, and they recognize people of the community.
Community.
Yeah,
community.
That's our big thing.
That's our big
It's gotta
community
be.
and camaraderie.
It's gotta be.
It's got to be hand in hand. But I think Anthony's very modest, by the way. I just want to, in case you didn't tell.
I can tell. So
he's
he
very modest.
churched you up. And,
I-
but like
well-
you said, there's a lot of steps to your store.
A lot of
There's
steps.
a lot more. So
And
it's
Phil-
very, it's admirable, just saying from my perspective, it's admirable what you did because not only did you go back to school, you battled the addiction, you did all that stuff, and like just to conference, everything. Like, oh yeah, I went and got my master's. Getting your master's isn't easy. School's not for me. I'm not a school guy. We could be talking about how to do the coolest thing in the world. If I have somebody trying to teach me, I'm snoozing in the back. I don't know what it is, but in an educational setting, I can't. I need to be hands-on. Like, here's the carrot. I need to be moving, and I can't do it. So when you say, like, oh yeah, I went back, I got my associates, and then I got my master's, like, that's downplaying extremely what he did.
Oh, it gets better. It gets better.
And then just, I did this, I got my master's while getting your own life together, while helping other veterans across the country. This is what I just got from the last couple minutes. While helping veterans across the country, I'm bullet pointing it. Helping veterans across the country, while getting your own shit together, while obviously being in a relationship, trying to help that woman understand I'm messed up, but you're my rock, but then I'm also going to be a little messed up. I might mess up, that kind of thing. And then helping other people who are messed up while you're messed up. It's it's a lot. Like, that's not just simple. And then here's the thing.
It like that.
Here's what right? So here's okay, let's I don't even know what he does right now. That's what we haven't even got to yet. So that's the thing. So all I remember, we had a conversation about where we're going to shoot the next one. All I know is you do something at a gym. We were talking about doing a workout. Chris was like, I don't know when I'm going to work out. Just, But anyway, so we were talking like, do we do a workout and then we shoot the video? And it's just, so again.
No, we're not working out.
I don't know. Yeah, he doesn't want to work out.
No, we're not working out.
So I don't know what you do now. So your resume is outstanding, right?
Thank
we
you.
haven't even gotten to where you are at this moment.
There's not enough time.
Like you said,
there's not enough time.
Yeah.
But before we get to what he does now, so we talked a little bit about the ruck, what it was going to signify. The bench is there. I brought this down today. I'm going to try not to cry on YouTube because there's some Marines around here, and I don't want to talk shit on. But I've never put this shirt on my body. But as you can see, we created. Anthony and I talked long and hard about the colors, what it wanted to be. We eventually put this on. Now we sell this shirt, but not with what's on the back. But this was the shirt specifically created for the ruck, the first annual Joseph Duran Memorial Scholarship Ruck. These are our first sponsors. I don't know if I can hold it up right here.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
And then we,
Yep.
can forget side spawn.
We can't forget our fellow Marine, Brian Thompson from Warren Thompson Roofing and Siding. But these are all the local organizations.
This is from 2 years ago.
This is 2 years.
Yeah.
We didn't get to do the ruck last year because of the pandemic.
Yeah.
But I think it's very important that not only were we able to provide the bench at the park, but all said and done, after that, for the very first annual, with only 3 months of planning, after expenses and costs for the bench and everything, there is $3,000 in a scholarship fund that is there for veterans with substance, mental health, that is specifically designated for that in honor of Joey. And then we're going to do one again this year. But touch a little bit on the hometown hero. Peaburg's big. All him and his brothers got flags. When you come into the town, on the street, their pictures are put up with their dates of service.
Well, and my dad put in for it, right? So Sullivan, Corey Sullivan was he was in charge of that. He had the organization, and you can submit an application and a picture of the veteran that you want put on the flag. So again, Phillipsburg, Peaburg, on all the light posts from South Main Street all the way down. There were veterans who served all branches, eras, war. It doesn't matter, from the beginning to the end, with their picture and name and rank and service. Yeah. Right. So I thought that was awesome. My dad put us in, and his sons in, which was and it was pretty cool to see. The three of us in line, on
three brothers.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That was really cool. I didn't like it at first. To drive by, I'm like, oh man, I don't see myself up there.
Yeah.
Young Anthony with no facial hair.
Yeah, no facial hair.
But it's just it's not about me, right? And it's that's where I have to keep it. It's not about me. It's my father was proud of putting us out there. He wanted to allow people to see the name up there, me and my brothers. So I have a sense of pride with it now, not like Mr. Humble, and I don't want to see myself up. And it's just like it's not about me, you know. And it's like
your dad's proud.
Yes, and that's how I framed it, and that's how I keep it, and it's like, you know, now I'm extremely appreciative. I wasn't at first. I kind of gave like, what picture? I'm like, you can use this picture. I don't, you know, it's kind of like I didn't. I don't know. I get weird about that stuff, but you know, I can reframe it and just kind of like, because then it's all about me, right? Like what I want or what I think, and it's like, dude, it ain't all about you. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, because doing the ruck and then at the same time, you guys being recognized at the Phantoms game for Hometown Heroes, you and Matt.
Jamie, and then my fiance put that in.
Yeah,
and
so they got recognized at a hockey game.
So I didn't know what it
Hometown
was. I didn't know what it was. We were supposed to go to the game. I knew something was going to happen, but I know that. So we got my brother and I. We had jerseys with their last name on it, and they recognized my brother and I as like hometown heroes.
Hometown heroes.
So my fiance Jamie set that up, you know, behind my back, but she had to get information. She didn't know what a DD-214 and all this stuff was, you know. So she's like, how do I talk to you? I'm like, all right. So I knew something was going on. So I was grateful for that as well, to be standing with my brother on the ice. We were in country together too. Like awesome. I said, there's a lot of side squirrels, you know, that we can go down.
Yeah.
But his unit relieved my unit. The 173rd relieved the 25th in Afghanistan. I didn't see him, but he was up north. I was down south. So there wasn't a time where my parents didn't have one of us overseas. Yeah. So my youngest brother, younger Matt, went to Iraq in 2003, and then he got back, and then I went to Afghanistan, and he went to Afghanistan, and then I got back. So each time somebody was overseas, and then he got back from Afghanistan, Joey went to Iraq. Yeah. So it was just like for, you know, that many years.
So your parents have full heads of white hair.
Yeah.
Is what I'm
pretty
guessing.
much. You know, well, my dad
Big Tone, I didn't say that. Big Tone. You want the belt, boy?
I couldn't imagine. Well, that's the thing. Like, I couldn't imagine having all your children, and it's at
no, that's why. That's why I'm trying to tell. I want to jump out of my seat over here because you have no idea of the beauty of being involved in this and watching like how paramount this family is in the community, and you know, like he said, it's not about him. What we did with the walk for Joey, the scholarship for Joey, it tied into the Hometown Heroes, the Phillipsburg putting their pictures up, and then on top of that, here's something we totally overlooked. It brought so much awareness that the local gym dedicated their gym in honor of Joey. Like so the
Soldier Fit,
yeah. So it's like it went from, you know, our buddy Tom Karlick at Phoenix Fit now, but was a part of another gym, got it so that it dedicated, and Ramel took that over, and now the gym in Easton is in memory of Joey. When you walk in, Joey's plaque with a picture of him in Iraq is on the wall. That barracks is dedicated to Joey, and it's just like, you know, so you don't know the impact of one small thing, how it could ripple effect, you know, to where, and we're gonna get to what he does, but I gotta tell you,
I feel like we're building this up.
We're building it up. Like, we're building it up to tear it down. But we gotta talk about the Spartan sword. We gotta talk about.
Let me just tell you guys what I do, so I don't feel like it's like.
Yeah, tell them what you do. Tell us what you do.
Oh my God, it's building up. People are like, oh my God, what's this guy doing? You know, I'm like.
Go ahead, tell them what you do, and then we gotta talk about when you were at the Freedom Towers with Gary Sinise and the Spartan sword and how we got to hold the sword and.
The Spartan sword's really, really cool. I've done a lot of.
You guys know about the Spartan sword?
So.
We gotta tell them what the Spartan stands for.
All right, so I'm a counselor. Let's just say this, right? So I'm a counselor in a long-term addiction rehab, the same rehab I got sober at.
Wait, what? Yeah. Stop the tape. Did you hear that? The same place he had to go for treatment, now he works helping other people. Hey, you guys aren't allowed to be crying in the back, all right? You're gonna make me cry. Yeah. But success at its finest. Yeah. This is the intent of the channel, to show someone who served our country and now is continuing to serve the community by continuing that
went down the rabbit hole afterwards.
Got out of it.
A lot of people do.
Jump back in the trenches with the guys. And now
but I want to make something very, very clear. It's like I still have a network of people in my life that I lean on wholeheartedly to do what I do or to be in this chair. It's like I just don't do that, right? And just everything's okie dokie. You know, it's like I need people in my life to hold me accountable so I can be right sized. You know, and it's like if I don't have that, I don't have anything else. I'm gonna make that extremely clear. Why I can still sit in this chair, why I can still go to work, why I can still be a father and a good partner, is that I still do the things I need to do to maintain sobriety, right? And I have a network of people in my life that. Again,
And one of those things was when we started After the Ruck, right? Anthony and I, it was our idea to, start the first support group.
Yeah.
So our support groups,
Yeah.
he's the facilitator.
Nice.
So it's not only like, oh, I do this in the community, I help people at the place I work. I'm still giving back to the veterans through facilitating our support groups, and it rolled into that.
Right, and like after talking to Chris, it's like I need a lot of therapy.
Yeah.
And it's like
A lot of therapy.
Chris does that.
I get free.
I need a lot of therapy after a phone call, right?
I get free counseling. That's what I do. I call Anthony, I'm like, hey, what do you think about this idea? We should do this. He's like, yeah. And then I'm like, oh, and by the way,
It's like real quick. I was like, no, it's never real quick.
it's real quick.
Yeah.
It's real quick.
Yeah.
So
Never real
but yeah, that was a joke. I don't go to therapy as soon as I talk to Chris.
It's okay if you do.
Yeah.
Because I go to therapy after I talk to
Trying to make
myself.
it feel good.
Okay. But yeah, man, we.
Time, but Spartan Sword, real quick.
But before you talk about the Spartan Sword, we got to talk about the Spartan Pledge. Does anybody know what the Spartan Pledge, what it actually entails? And I think that is paramount on why the sword and how much respect the firefighter that travels around the country with the sword, had for you to leave the sword in your possession when you got that has to be like that detail. Yep, that detail is just huge. You know what I mean? With the how they don't leave it out of sight and all that stuff.
Yeah. So this Spartan sword, right, was forged out of World Trade Center steel, right, and it was given to the place who forged. I believe they forged it in Texas, right? I believe. I don't want to mess it up, but I believe it was forged in Texas. So they had like this box of like certain metals. And also a lot of like different necklaces and things that they found.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
So just religious stuff too. So they melted it and forged the steel and a lot of the relics, right, that they found into this Spartan sword, and it's stamped with certain things on it. And the Spartan Pledge is for first responders and veterans to come together to all put your hand on the shoulder and the sword to make this pledge to each other. And it's to help combat, right, suicide amongst first responders and veterans. So it was adapted by people of the FDNY and at a New York Fire Department. And so people take this pledge, and this sword goes all over the place. Like you can ask for it, inquire about it, and if you're having an event, it can be at this event. So it's this beautiful, literally a Spartan sword, right, forged out of World Trade Center steel, and like so many. Gary Sinise has been involved in it. Other big names, but like I'm a big fan of Gary Sinise. What he does for our community is unbelievable, and our families, the veteran families. So. But some of the people that I've worked with and the founding people of it, I was at the unveiling in New York, right at the World Trade Center, the fire department closest to the World Trade Center. So there was a ceremony to basically unveil this sword, and so I was able to take the pledge with a few other veterans and like a slew of like FDNY guys. So it was just really cool to be a part of. And have that network of people, and which I'm still in contact with, and been on events down, like when outreach events with Vets for Warriors with these men and women. So it was a very cool experience to be a part of, and to have that at the event was unbelievable. So it's a program of it's a pledge of accountability. Like I'm pledging to you that I'm going to reach out to you before I do anything that's absolute.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So it's that pledge, and it's like the whole concept is like we'll hold each other accountable more than I would like my therapist, or my psychologist, or somebody I'm talking to my feelings to. But my brother in arms, as you two sit here, if I make a pledge to you, I give you my word. That means something to us, right? So that's the idea of it.
Like and one of the lines in the pledge is like, so we created it with the two guys who were in the hospital, like for a year, right? And the one soldier turns around and says, like, I'm thinking about checking out, and the other guy makes him make the pledge, like, I won't check out without consulting with you first. That's how the pledge was like created. Yeah. So here at this event,
James Boone Cutler is one of them.
I will not take my life. Yeah. I will. My mission is to find a mission.
Find a mission. Yeah.
My mission is to find a mission. Like the pledge is so intense. Like I can't talk about my arms. But at the Ruck, what was there? 200 veterans put our hands on each other's shoulders. And first responders put our hands on each other's shoulders. We read that pledge out aloud, and we took the pledge. And I can't tell you, and he knows. I would never say the individual's name. He came to the Ruck, another hometown hero, messaged me about 3 days later and said, "Dude, I have been thinking about checking out, and that pledge saved my life. Like, I don't want to check out anymore."
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? So, like, it blows my mind, these small things. I'm so proud of you, what you're doing, how you're giving back, and what you're continuing to do. And, hey, he's on our board, man. I roped him right in. I knew it, you know what I'm saying? He told you, a conversation with me doesn't just go away unwarranted. I'm getting something.
Yeah.
I'm getting something.
Oh, I know this.
You know what I mean? I'm getting something. Yeah. You know how it is with Slavi?
Yeah.
Slavi from Howling Led Firearms brings gifts to the shop.
Slavi's a giver.
He's a giver, right? We're going to talk about Howling Led Firearms, one of the sponsors of this YouTube channel. We're appreciative of Slavi. We'll get a couple pictures of his amazing work in here at the end of this thing.
Beautiful.
But he's a part of Battleborn. One of our most dedicated volunteers has joined our team. And he comes to the shop, he brings gifts. I come to the shop, I get the money. That's how it goes. It's good cop, bad cop. Every time. So, yeah.
Huge.
But,
like you said, we could probably go on for another 45 minutes. Yeah. It's crazy.
It's crazy. But the history. Yeah. It's the history, and it's what I've gotten to see from working with Ant. And, we're going to start playing the next Ruck now. And we got to come up with something bigger than a bench now.
We can count us in for a sponsor on the back.
Oh, we just got a sponsor.
Got a sponsor.
See that?
We got a sponsor. Yeah.
As the civilian in the room, could you take 15 seconds and explain what a ruck is?
All right.
Okay.
A ruck. So a rucksack is our backpacks of is what we call a knapsack, a backpack of what we call in the military is that's that thing you see on the backs. Has like a
cummerbund strap.
Yeah,
real big pack.
Strap,
you can
has
hold
like the railing
everything
system.
in it. Yeah.
The other thing, the little ones you see are more of like we call them assault packs, right? So it has like the railing system on the back, and you put it on, and it's heavy as hell. And you hump it everywhere you go because there's all kinds of stuff in there. You can fit 20 pounds in that 8-pound bag if you need to.
Imagine putting your whole apartment into one knapsack.
Yeah.
So I get it, but what are
Yeah, so when in the military when we say we're rucking, that means that we're putting on that pack and we're walking somewhere. So that's when we say we're having a ruck march, right? So typically when we're training, at least from my experience, and maybe you guys can relate to this too, like when we go for a ruck march, it's like training with your backpack, your rucksack, right? And you're going for a ruck march. You're humping somewhere X amount of miles with a bunch of weight in there, and then they're going to weigh you at that backpack afterwards to make sure you have no less than that weight that they said you have to have in your PT. And some guys put pillows in there and got smoked for it. Some guys like Chris. But,
Yo, I weighed, listen, for clarification purposes, when I joined the United States Marine Corps, I weighed 137 pounds. It's no secret. I'm like 5'4". You know what I mean? The pack was 70 pounds. It was half my body weight. Yeah. All right? That's bullshit. I just want to know that's bullshit. Okay? Yeah. Go ahead. Return.
No, all I was hearing was I heard blah, 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 excuse, blah, blah, blah.
What's the wingspan of a shipbird?
It's big. So that's what a ruck march is. So that's when we say when we're rucking. So a lot of times I'll have to clarify, like, what's a ruck march? I'm like, all right, we're going to be walking, right? So it's just walking with that that knapsack or rucksack, as we like to call it. So that's a ruck march or a ruck.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's just a big heavy bag.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's
You
it.
put everything in it, and you go out they go out for weeks, and then
You live out of it.
yeah, you live out of it. You put all kinds of crap in it, and becomes your friend.
Yeah. Comes a pillow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pillow, pain in the butt.
Yeah. It's your kitchen. It's
Yeah.
your bedroom.
Yeah.
It's your
Everything.
water supply.
Yep.
Everything.
I'm excited. I'm excited to go back to town council and talk about next year's ruck again. How great they were. How the town of Phillipsburg, the council,
Everyone's phenomenal.
jumped on board and was like,
Yeah.
by no means, yes, we're doing this, and having the police escort of Phillipsburg, all in honor of Joey and your family. I'm looking forward to doing that again this year. You know, I want to thank you for coming out too, because I know it's a Sunday afternoon, right? He's got a 19-month-old little girl at home and a fiance who, you know,
Getting
Don't-
married next week.
what?
Yeah.
Congrats.
Thank you.
We didn't get an invitation,
I got mine.
did you? Some bullshit. Anyway, you know, I know how difficult it is for you to get away because of your work schedule. The guy works like a dog all week, and then weekends are for family. So I appreciate you coming down today. You know, I want to just give a secondary shout out to some of the people that made this possible. You know, you for signing up for the interview for us. But you know, when I talked about this like a year ago, I was like, dude, you're like, I wanted, you know, that was going to be my first guest. You know, I'm so proud of you. I love you, man. You're my man.
Love you.
And you know, I just wanted to thank Old Glory Barbershop for letting us host this here.
Always.
You know, I thought of a name while we're sitting here. This is Coffee and Conversation. Coffee and Conversation with a cigar. Blessed to us by Bisson Creative.
Yeah.
Not only are they helping us film this, but they brought us cigars.
Yeah, that was good.
This is great. I expect cigars next time too. Just saying. But thank you for allowing us to have this here and being a part of this with us.
Well, thank you for the introduction. That's awesome.
Absolutely.
I definitely want to be involved in everything now.
Well, now you know he's on the board of Battleborn.
Yeah, that's
I
true.
just want to say this barbershop is unbelievable.
Right?
I came in here and I was just like, I'm floored.
Yeah.
It's so clean and neat, and all the military stuff and everything is. I mean, awesome.
Thank
The
you.
owner's
Great,
Thank you.
great.
The owner's a jerk, though. I'm just saying.
Yeah, that guy.
But this, come down and check it out in Percy, Old Glory Barbershop. This place is phenomenal.
Yeah. So like Chris said in the beginning, not to draw this out anymore, but it's like a drop-in spot. You know what I mean? So say if hopefully that one day a veteran sees this, you know what I mean, and he doesn't want to go. I didn't go to the VA for like 10 years, if not longer. I don't want to go to the VA. I'm not messed up, whatever. So hopefully, guys, if you're a civilian, you know a veteran, or if you're a veteran and you want to be around other veterans, but you don't want to go to a counseling session, because I can speak for myself. I'm still messed up. I don't go to counseling. I get everybody barking, you should go to counseling. You should go to counseling. Why? I'm good. To me, I'm copacetic. I bury it down. I keep moving forward. But if you want to have somewhere to come, you don't even have to have a haircut appointment. Just come in, sit on a chair, play some checkers, like we said, like just hang out. You know what I mean? Feel comfortable. If you don't want to say a word and you just get up and walk out, we'll be like, who the hell was that guy? But as long as you came in, dropped in, and you want to just shoot the shit and have a conversation and feel like you're not under the knife, please come in here.
There's always a free cup of coffee for you here.
Yes, there is.
Brass Bullet Coffee Company makes our coffee for Battleborn, and Old Glory serves it here, free to the community. You get a free cup of coffee. Sometimes there'll be some cigars.
Yeah.
And tell them that Chris said you get a free haircut.
Yeah. Courtesy of Battleborn.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll send a
Boom.
check.
Yeah.
But thank you again.
Thank you.
I appreciate you letting us have this here and being involved with us, and showing this is what we're doing. Community working together.
Yeah.
Thank you to all the guys who made it possible. Howling Led Firearms for being a sponsor, and last but most importantly, Bisson Creative for showing up on a Sunday afternoon, sitting with us for hours upon hours while we shoot the shit before we even film. Like we should start taping just us hanging out in the barbershop before we actually sit down to like pretend to talk about something, right? Like I think the conversation sometimes is just with us catching up, is probably better YouTube material than like when we're sitting here trying to. Because I don't know about you guys, but
Shine
I
it
feel
on.
real freaking uncomfortable trying to be like professional and ask you a serious question or the bullet point. Dude,
You
I've
got
looked
no
out.
problem not being professional. Don't
Dude,
worry about it.
in case you didn't notice, I probably looked out the window about 400 times.
Yeah.
Like, right? Not that I'm not paying attention, but
That's why I'm glad I'm looking this way.
everybody walking by the barbershop. I wish you guys could see like the whole thing. The barbershop, people just walk by and I'm like,
wouldn't be able to
ching,
do it,
ching, ching, you know. But
But yeah.
thank you guys for tuning in. We look forward to giving you more of this insight to what goes on in our crazy minds.
Yeah.
Trying to help other veterans understand what it is that we do, what we're trying to do, and also educate the community on how you guys can get involved. Please go to wearebattleborn.com or follow us on Facebook, We Are Battleborn, Instagram, We Are Battleborn. Get involved, right? Because here's the reality of it. We could definitely appreciate any support with donations, but more than that, we need people with a heart to serve. I don't care about how much money you give, right? Because if we don't have the people to get in the trenches, it doesn't matter how much money we got.
And that's the only qualification is wanting to help.
Wanting to help.
be of service. That's the only qualification.
Wanting to help like Greg Troxel, a civilian who saw a problem 10 years ago before it was talked about like it is now. We're talking early stages,
Yeah.
you know, and said, I got to do something. That's what we need. We need the guys to say, I got to do something. I got to make a difference.
Yeah.
Because nothing is irrelevant. One small thing can ripple effect a whole entire community.
Huge.
So we appreciate you guys. Message us. See how you can get involved. We're always going to take sponsors. As we continue to build this thing, we're going to need to make it bigger. We're going to need some help. So go to wearebattleborn.com or message us on social media to see how you can get involved. Support Old Glory.
Yeah.
Peace out, Girl Scouts.